Welcome
Boys and
everyone
girls.
to the Chicago Football Connection podcast. I'm your host, Steve Letizia. Follow me on Twitter at TC Bears, joined by co-host Luke. Follow him on Twitter at Luke O'Grady. Doing something a little bit different this time. We're going live at halftime of the fourth preseason game. We're going to be talking first half of the preseason game. We're going to be watching the preseason game as it comes
Okay.
back. So I'm sure we'll just kind of interject some stuff randomly there. And then we're also going to do our 53-man roster prediction, kind of going through, seeing who we think is going to make the roster based on preseason performance and all that
Yeah.
stuff. So we're going to cover all of that today rather than going live after the game when it's going to be super late. We figured let's go live now. We
Yep.
can talk for maybe a little bit longer. So, Luke, you watched the first half. What's your number one takeaway from the first half of this preseason game?
Kind of the same thing has been across all the preseason games, man. The Bears have had way more juice than their opponents every game.
Mm-hmm.
Every game, the Bears and it's probably that's more a reflection of coaching than it is roster talent. But every one of these games, the Bears have been coming out and playing hard, and because of it, they've kind of beat the brakes off of everyone they've been in front of. This is the fourth and final, so it's 2 weeks now to the regular season basically, and kind of have all of the information that we're going to need to make our prediction like we're going to do here for this roster for the 53. Going into this game, there's no starters and probably 45, 46 people were already a lock, but there's some people in this game still playing that are probably on the outside looking in, or might end up squeezing one of those last few roster spots, so it'll be interesting. I think this last half of football, as funny as it sounds, is going to matter like pretty seriously to a handful of people still out there.
For sure, yeah, and I'm glad you went with, instead of going to like an individual player, I'm glad you just went more with like the vibes, because I think that it has something that is something that stood out in these
Yeah.
4 games. More, I mean, just night and day from like last couple of years where they come out flat, even in the preseason. And I think that speaks to the coaching, but also just the depth of this team. Like
Yeah.
our backups are viable NFL players. They might not
Totally.
be stars or starters, but like they're viable NFL players. And our third string is viable NFL players, which is why doing a 53-man roster prediction is going to be harder this year than it has in the last couple of years, because we're going to have to make some difficult cuts. Guys who have played well in the preseason, guys who have maybe played well in the NFL in the past, who we're going to have to cut because there's just a lot of talent and a lot of guys playing hard. And I think, when Eberflus came in with his hits principle, I'm gonna be honest, I was a little like, that's stupid.
Corny coach speak.
Corny. It's
Yeah.
like corny coach speak, but fuck, I don't know. Maybe it's working because our defense has come to play every day
Totally.
every week this preseason. I don't think we see that changing once the regular season starts.
Once, it was kind of unfortunate the circumstances that made it happen, but once Eberflus took over as defensive play caller last year, the team has felt completely different.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of how they feel now and how the Bears are presenting versus opponents now has a lot to do with it is you see the hits principles. There's no doubt about that, and it's probably a lot more to do with familiarity. These are people that have been with Poles and with Flus now for 3 years, basically. 2 with Flus and 3 with Poles. I believe that's right. Or no, only 2 with Poles. Either way, but I also think it's a reflection of them feeling a little bit more confident about the roster as well. I think this is probably the most talented the Bears have been in a while, and it seems that the offense has a lot of great things to say about the defense, and anybody that's come across Caleb Williams so far can't be anything but elated with how he's looked. I think there are really high expectations, and I think maybe the Bears are starting to believe it too, man, because they're coming into these games confident. I mean, it's the preseason, but it's those funny things where it's like the Bears have outscored them like their preseason opponents probably now 100 points to like 15.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's preseason, but it's our second string going up against their second string. It's our third string going up against their third string.
Yeah.
So like when Tyson Bagent played really well today, and he's he's not going up against a starting NFL defense, but it's our second string quarterback going up against a second string defense and looking pretty good. So it's nice to see that if Caleb Williams, knock on wood, does get injured at any point this year, Tyson Bagent, it might not be a complete loss if he has to start a week or two.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good to see.
Yeah, you need to have good backups in this league. Quarterbacks, even the great ones, they're gonna take some shots through the year and get nicked up. Even just little things like like strains and things that keep you out maybe a week. It's nice that you don't have to be too risky with it because you don't think you have a chance without your backup. Ripien and Bajan have looked great and seem to have a good control of the offense. I'd be interested to see who would be the first off the bench. I think Ripien is probably more of a veteran presence for Caleb Williams, but I would imagine that Bajan's the backup, right?
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, he was the backup. He started the game today. I think he's pretty clearly the backup. But Ripien has played really well, and I think would be a good number 2 quarterback on a lot of teams. So it's nice to have that problem. And then with the new rules with the quarterbacks, you can potentially keep 3 quarterbacks on your roster.
Yeah, and they probably will. It's a different conversation if they don't have that rule right now, because you probably do want to have someone a little bit more veteran for Caleb. Though the dynamic of T-Badge there is nice because it's like T-Badge is going through everything that Caleb was going through just last year as well. So there's that familiarity to I was right there. But with the 3, I don't think there's any reason why that any of those guys would be gone now. It would have been an interesting conversation before because I think everyone likes Bajan. Bajan has obviously taken strides, but going into the preseason, if they could have only kept 2, I think honestly Ripien would have been like the guy probably at the front of that. But when you think about it now, like Bajan played a drive, looked great, and they took him out, and it's been Ripien ever since. Like that kind of almost tells you what you need to know about how they see him.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident that's how it's laid out. But like I said, I think Ripien, especially that first game against the Texans, he outplayed Tyson Bajan that week.
He looked unreal.
And Bajan didn't look really too special, but Bajan has played better his last couple weeks. He looked pretty good today. So
I think he's looked deadly. I think the last 2 weeks, Bajan's really turned it on.
We got an injury, but I thought it was for the Bears. Looks to be a serious one. So hopefully, whoever that is okay. But yeah, it's not just the depth at quarterback too. I mean, it's depth at every position. You're gonna have experience injuries on the offensive line, defensive line.
Yeah,
running back doesn't matter.
Offensive line and defensive line, as well as the defensive backfield, is actually probably the people to be watching here in the second half. If you're still watching, it'll be those depth pieces that round out the rooms. Will be the people that would still be in this game worth watching. I know you were saying before we jumped on that you would want to check kind of roughly what we expect Poles and Eberflus to keep at as far as numbers at each position. It might be nice to just go over what those are now before we do the full on roster one, and just say roughly what positions specifically would still probably important to be watching into the game here.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. So these are what they kept on their initial 53-man roster last year. Okay. So it's going to be a little different. Obviously, different offensive coordinator, different offensive coach staff, even some different defensive coach staff. So it's going to be a little bit different, but it's going to follow essentially this. So
roughly.
Last year they did keep only 2 quarterbacks.
Okay.
So they could keep 3, but so it's going to be 2 or 3. So 2 quarterbacks, 4 running backs, 1 fullback, 6 wide receivers, 3 tight ends, 10 linemen on the offense. And then on defense, they had 5 DNs, 4 D tackles, 5 linebackers, 6 cornerbacks, and 4 safeties, and then 3 special teamers, kicker, punter.
6 cornerbacks and 4 safeties, eh?
Yeah. So that's kind of what we're working with here with the 53. I think, if I have kind of one up in front of me, but like you said, there's 42 guys, something like that, who are probably locks. And then it's that bottom 9, 10 guys that are kind of fighting for spots.
Safeties will be, Byard, Brisker, Jonathan Owens, and who do you think will be the 4th?
And Elijah Hicks. I think that one's pretty straightforward.
Elijah Hicks is a sick pro too, man. He's a guy that flashes all the time. So that's
that
the 4.
One was pretty straightforward. What I had, and then cornerbacks gets a little bit tough because they have so many. I kind of did a rough roster prediction before this just to get ready for this, but then Reddy Stewart gets 2 picks. Not to say he's going to make big roster based on this one game, but
that's actually the first thing I said to you when I jumped on. I said Reddy Stewart's played great, not going to make the Bears. It's a tough thing. It's honestly, you can come in and have as good of a preseason game as a cornerback can have, and it still can be you knew it wasn't going to be you, Reddy. You knew that, right?
It's tough. He's played really well this preseason, but
I know he looked great
over Josh Blackwell or Jalen Jones, who are both played well in the NFL the last
Yeah,
couple of years. Like
they totally have. You're not going to keep him over Josh Blackwell. There's no way.
and Josh Blackwell's a really good special teamer. So it's a really the cornerback group is so deep for the Bears. Obviously, you got Jalen Johnson, Tyreek Stevenson, Kyle Gordon, and I'd even say Terrell Smith's probably the lock.
Smitty's a lock. Already got a pick this preseason. He's played great in the NFL when he's needed to. Smitty's lock.
So if they keep 6 like last year, I put Josh Blackwell, Jalen Jones as a 6. Now they could, keep Reddy Stewart and maybe keep only 4 linebackers instead of 5, or keep, I don't know, maybe keep 3 running backs instead of 4, something like that. But if they keep 6, it's going to be tough for Reddy Stewart to make it.
I would say that Jalen Jones would be the guy if I was ready. If I was ready and I was like kind of pinpointing where I think it would be, in my head, I'd be having Jalen Jones as the guy. Because I think honestly too, the Bears have bounced back and forth with Jalen Jones on the practice squad and not otherwise. Stewart goes to practice squad easily. Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense too. To that dynamic, if you've had Jalen Jones bounce around on the practice squad before, and now you have another guy that's never really made the team, it probably makes sense. Yeah. Undrafted guy. Hopefully, no one else claims him. I know he was popular pre-draft because he has a lot of production on the ball. I think he was in the top 5 players in America as far as interceptions and passes broken up. So a lot of people really like him, but it's a tough group to make, man. The Bears have a lot of talent on DB. There's going to be some good players from this preseason roster that aren't going to be on the regular season roster.
Right. And most likely you're going to get Reddy Stewart back on the practice squad if they really covet him. Could he get claimed? Sure, but not that many players get claimed on waivers.
Not as many as people realize.
The Bears claimed 7 that went a couple of years ago. That was because their roster was just beyond terrible. They
I remember that. Yeah,
but the Bears might claim one guy, maybe. They might, bring in a free agent off the street, but they might maybe only claim one guy, maybe 2.
So I would say that externally, coming in, man, these Bears are playing hard, man. It's so fun to watch them right now. Externally coming in, maybe one move yet to be made. It looks like the Bears were trying to prioritize. It looks like the Bears were trying to prioritize getting that pass rush. Obviously, they were in on Judon, and it didn't go that way for them. If that comes from free agency, a last minute cut or waivers, then maybe. But other than that, I would say that it's probably gonna 52 out of 53 of the Bears roster are probably already on the roster.
Right. Micah Baskerville just made a good pass break up there.
I know that's exactly so you must be a smidge behind me. I'll be better on reacting, but you know what I mean. Micah Baskerville is just right in there grinding.
Well, I was just gonna say, kind of moving on to linebackers. I kept 5 linebackers last year. I did put Baskerville in my 5 because he's been playing well. And the other thing before we get into linebackers is another thing to kind of keep in mind when you're doing these is you want to keep the guys who are making plays in preseason, but also look at when they got into the game. In the preseason games, the guys who started this game when the starters weren't playing are most likely making the roster.
Yeah, exactly.
So I got for my 5 linebackers I had. Let me know what you think. Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards, Jack Sanborn, locks, obviously. And then I got Micah Baskerville as one of them, and then Amen Ogben. Wow. I pronounce his name. Just because special teams value is another thing that kind of really plays into these kind of last guys on the roster. And he was signed to be a special team 8. So I feel like his spot is kind of up there. So then guys you leave off, I think it played well. Leon Jones has played well. Noah Sewell, who was our 5th round pick last year.
The 1 year, the one and done, the out at Christmas. That's crazy.
He hasn't really done much.
Dude, what? The Broncos traded for Zach Wilson? How did I miss that? That must have happened months ago.
It did happen months ago. But
what?
It's one of those trades that happens, and then you probably saw it when it happened, but just completely wiped it from your memory.
Dude, you want to hear something so funny? Is I kept seeing today that Bo Nix got announced the starter, and I was like, who the fuck else would it have been? I didn't think it was anyone else there.
Well, Zach Wilson was their 3rd guy. Who was the other guy that Bo Nix was competing with?
Oh, is it No, Rattler's New Orleans.
No, shoot, it was another bum quarterback, veteran quarterback.
Oh,
I
vet.
can't remember. I gotta look it up now.
Yeah, I'm doing it too. Denver depth chart.
Quarterback.
Stidham.
Oh, Jarrett Stidham.
Yeah, that's a fun QB battle.
Yeah.
Yo.
Yeah,
I saw some videos.
If Bo Nix didn't win that QB competition, that's bad for your first round pick.
I saw some videos today about the things that had to conspire for the Panthers to come last and for us to come last the year before, for all of it to work out to get Caleb Williams, and it like gave me anxiety. I was like, if it had worked, because like the way that we won the Carolina trade was, that's crazy if that's a pick. I shouldn't have said that. The way that we won the Carolina trade was so awesome, but it's like it all kind of falls flat if you're just building a good roster around a medium QB. It's like we have such a good roster brewing, and we have a quarterback that it feels like in the reins will soon not need to have such an amazing roster. He's that good.
Yeah. Oh, you talking about that ball that like bounced up into the air? Yeah, I just saw that.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. I don't know. Was it actually a pick or was it a?
No, it hits the ground.
Okay.
Stidham. This guy's more delayed than you are.
Yeah, no, apparently I'm way behind, but that's okay. Just when something happens, just check it out.
Yeah, it'd be tough. I think the decision for Amen will be interesting. I think going into the preseason, I thought it'd be hard for Noah Sewell to get the one and done year, but I told my dad today. My dad was like, "Do you think Booker's going to make the team?" And I was like, "My dad's a pretty good football fan, but he asking such a stupid question." And I think it's honestly because like it gets romanticized in Hard Knocks. Like Hard Knocks is talking about like, someone fighting for a roster spot is Austin Booker, and it's like, no, he's not. Have you been paying attention? We traded up to get him.
Not at all.
Straight up,
we just don't have. This is like a weak position.
I know, but it's funny that we say like you can't really do that for a 4th or a 5th round pick, and it's like the Noah Sewell wasn't he a 5th round pick?
I believe a 5th round pick. Yeah,
he's gonna have a year on the team. It looks like if you think that Amen or Baskerville will make it over him, which I think they probably deserve to. Both have looked better. He'll be a one and done guy, which is interesting. Maybe he'll go to the practice squad.
Could be. I mean, it's very possible. I haven't really. I mean, I've watched all the Bears preseason games. I don't really remember seeing much from.
Is he out there?
So,
I had the same thought.
Is he? I don't even know. I'm sure he is, but like, I think Amen. I'm just gonna call him Amen because I can pronounce it. I think he's. Right. I've actually noticed him like on the field. I have noticed some bad things, but like, he's also made some plays as well. And I know again he was signed for his special team value, and your 4th linebacker obviously needs to play a lot of special teams. So.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't know unless he's actually playing awesome and he's not in the preseason because he's basically a starter or however they want to view it. But we've seen some of the starters and we still haven't seen Sewell. Unless something weird happens, I don't know how there's any way you can look at Sewell as more valuable than Baskerville right now. Baskerville's made a ton of plays in the preseason.
Yeah, he made plays last preseason too. He's just always around the ball in preseason. So I think it's you got to see what he has there. I'm sure he. And it's again, 5th linebacker is really going to come down to special teams. So
yeah,
if they feel more if they despite Baskerville making more plays in the preseason, if they think Noah Sewell provides better special teams value, they will keep Noah Sewell. That's what that spot's going to come down to. So it's hard to judge special teams value. The coaches will have much more insight into that than we will, obviously.
Yeah.
D tackle. Let's just keep going down the line. D tackle was actually very easy. But
I think D tackle is more wrapped up than people realize.
It's a spot that there might be a veteran coming in soon. So I got Javon Dexter, Andrew Billings as a starter, easy, and then Zach Pickens and Byron Cowart as the backups. And
I think that's how it goes.
That doesn't instill a lot of confidence, honestly. Like the starter, I mean, I like the starters. I think Andrew Billings is really solid against the run. I think Javon Dexter is going to have a big year, but 2 question marks behind there. So if they could bring in a vet maybe to kind of round that room out, I think that'd be really helpful for them. Either a vet or maybe this is a position that you claim someone off the waiver wire. So definitely something to watch there. There's just not a lot of depth. I think can be good, but I think he's not really there yet. And Byron Cowart's just a complete question mark. So
right. Yeah, I think that's going to be a position that the Bears make a very big priority next offseason. Bears going into next offseason, we have a fairly good amount of draft capital, and I think we're still in the top 10 in cap space. I think I wouldn't be surprised if the Bears take like multiple shots at defensive tackle next offseason.
Yep. And just looking at like the kind of, because I've already started looking at the 25 NFL draft, like D tackle is a really good class this year.
Nice.
So like this year was the offensive class, and it's completely shifted. It's a defensive class next year. So
that's good for us
to round out the defensive line for next year.
Nice. I actually think on the defensive line, I think defensive end is a much more interesting conversation for this one. I think it's wide open, and there's been a lot of people that have been making their case in the preseason.
Yeah, the Tyler Scott was another grab. He's having a big game. Yeah, the end, like Montez Sweat, DeMarcus Walker, Austin Booker, those are your 3 locks.
Yep,
for sure. And then so they kept 5 last year. This might be a position where they might keep 6. I know it's tough to keep 6 defensive ends because they're not really playing special teams, but it's just so. I mean, the other guys I have are Dom Robinson, just because he started this game. He seems
watch your boy work. Watch your boy work right here.
The team does seem to like Dominic Robinson, even if I don't as much. Oh, I just thought I got a Velus Jones 1-yard run.
Oh, really? Oh, dang, you're that far behind.
Dang. Dom Robinson and Daniel Hardy is the other 2 defensive ends, but man, it's tough to cut Jacob Martin. It's tough to cut Khalid Kareem. Both of those guys have splashed in the preseason. Like,
I know. And Hardy's motor has been awesome, and he's played like quarter after quarter, and just feels like he flashes every time he's on.
Yeah, and Dom Robinson. I mean, even if you keep one of those guys over Dom Robinson, I thought Dom Robinson actually has played better this preseason than he did at any point last year. So, and he was always a guy when they drafted him. Oh, here we go. He was always a guy when you drafted him. You knew, Tyler Scott. When Dom Robinson was drafted, you knew it was a guy who was going to take 2-3 years before he really developed, and now we're getting into that year 3 or year 2 or year 3. So I don't know. I feel like he cut Jacob Martin, and Jacob has been successful in the NFL as like a situational pass rusher. So you could keep him over Daniel Hardy or Dominic Robinson, but this is a tough room here to kind of predict. So we'll see. I don't really know. Oh, I gotta get Terps in here. Shock Stevens not pushing over his guy Hutchins. Yeah, I really love Jalen Hutchins. I don't think he has any chance of making the roster, maybe practice squad.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's my guy.
No, I know. I mean, I think if there's one person that has opened my eyes in preseason that I didn't really kind of plan or see making the roster or think about as a contributor in 2024 that I would now like to see be a Chicago Bear would be Dan Hardy, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't think I think when earlier in the preseason, I would have never put Daniel Hardy. I probably would have had Jacob Martin over Daniel Hardy, but I think he's just played really well. I think he's earned it. So.
And if it's like at the 6th spot, you almost rather take a flyer on a more developmental guy. At least it's looked like he had. Oh wow, interesting.
Well, I think this is also. I mean, Yannick Ngakoue could be here any day now. And then you're cutting Daniel Hardy or Dominic Robinson. So we'll see.
My thing with the like the Yannick Ngakoue move is fine, but it really only makes sense if you're like you believe that your Super Bowl window is already open. You don't need to go and make a kind of a mediocre move to round out the roster like that, unless you're really trying to maximize every opportunity you have here.
Yeah.
Wow, what a rep.
I don't know. I kind of agree. I feel like with the way that the bottom of the roster DNs have been playing, I don't know if Yannick Ngakoue at this point in his career really does much for you.
Yeah, I mean, if he really comes in and is a straight situational pass rusher, then he's proven he can do it. He's probably not a terrible hired gun. I guess it matters if the price is right. There's a certain amount of money that you can't bring over to next year anyway. So, that being said, I think it depends on if they go 5 or 6 there for sure. They might only go 4 linebackers, like you said, and try and just get some more depth there. But there always is that value for getting special teamers.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. That's gonna be a tough one, and I think both D and D tackle. I'd be surprised if there Betts brought in.
Or at least,
I'm way behind.
if you're looking at like when people get cut, you'll be seeing a lot of that meme with all the birds on the telephone lines with the Bears, if any of them are defensive ends or tackles.
The whole timeline just filled with Bears all the time, which I love, even though it's like the Bears never sign them, but it's just fun to see.
No, the Bears always surprise you and get the guy you're never even thinking about. Keenan Allen out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah, okay, I guess Keenan Allen will be a Bear.
Yeah.
I think offense, as we kind of round out, I think that's pretty much most of the defense. As we round into offense here, I think offense is a little bit more straightforward.
Yeah, it wasn't the only places where is the like last wide receiver and then like the last two offensive linemen could kind of go a couple different ways, but
right. So how many running backs you said they were going to keep?
They kept 4 last year, so 4 would be DeAndre Swift, Khalil Herbert, Roschon Johnson. Those are the locks. And then either Travis Homer or Ian Wheeler. I think
you go Wheeler. Jones. Yeah, I know, because I was thinking about that. How does he kind of fit in there?
Interestingly, Homer started this game, then Ian Wheeler came in, then
Bayless is in now.
So
yeah,
I think Bayless is out.
It's crazy. Sucks, man. Wheeler's got wheels. Wheeler can run, man. He's fast. And it's like if you're gonna to round out your roster, I think you'd rather have that guy there than, do you need Travis Homer to be a contributor?
Your fourth running back isn't really going to be a contributor. It's a special teams spot. Travis Homer's played special teams in the NFL for 5 years now or whatever. Ian Wheeler's never played special teams in the NFL. So I think this spot would kind of depend on maybe what they do at linebacker. If they do only keep 4 linebackers, then you really need your fourth running back to be a special teamer. If they keep 5 linebackers and they keep their special teams specialists and amen there, then maybe you could go with Ian Wheeler, just kind of keep the roster spot. But I mean, Swift is going to get majority of the carries. Herbert is going to get a couple, and then Johnson's probably going to rotate it on third down. So what is that fourth running back spot really going to do? To play special teams?
No, honestly, and if the Bears are in a tight game and Ian Wheeler's and they're getting carries, I'll be pissed off.
Right.
Get him out of there.
Ian Wheeler seems like a perfect practice squad guy. If there's injuries to any of those top 3 guys, you can bring him up and you can hopefully get a couple reps and not kill you. But I don't know. Who knows? I don't watch the special teams all 22. I don't watch the special teams closely in preseason. He might be killing it on special teams. I have no idea. So if they feel comfortable with him on special teams and they think he provides more value on offense, then yeah, it's an easy decision. But it's really going to come down to special teams play. That's more important than honestly their rushing and receiving ability, I think.
Yeah. How many tight ends they typically keep?
They kept 3 last year, so that one's pretty easy. Cole Kmet,
Bank. What about wide receiver?
They could potentially, keep 3 running backs and then keep a 4th tight end, since that's a special team spot anyway. And then maybe you keep Brendan Bates or Tommy Sweeney or someone like that. But
Brendan Bates played good, hasn't he?
Steven Carlson, all those guys have kind of done something in the preseason. But again, it's going to come down to special teams, which is kind of lame to say, but that's just the way it is. So it depends on what they do at the other spots. But I right now I have them just keeping 3: Kmet, Everett, Lewis.
Wide receiver?
Wide receiver, well, you got DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, locks.
How many they keep?
Oh, they kept 6 last year.
Okay, so I get 3 locks.
I put Tyler Scott as
honestly,
almost a lock. Yeah,
Tyler Scott, I would go lock.
So in the last 2 spots are, let's see, you got the guys that we haven't mentioned. So you would have Colin Johnson, who's had a good year.
Dante Pettis.
Dante Pettis. DeAndre Carter, who's had your first chance at returning punts and kicks.
Bayless.
And Bayless. Those are really the other guys kind of fighting for those.
Man, Bayless might iron some stuff out there just because it does look like he's being looked at as a primary returner most of the time.
Yeah.
He might etch himself out just that way.
You think, so you think he'd be like primary returner and then maybe be able to back up running back and wide receiver?
Any position. Yeah.
That's probably.
And then it might even give you the flexibility to keep 3 backs and Velus.
3 backs and Velus, because then you could do that
as a primary returner too. But if not, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of. It'd be interesting. Colin Johnson's had a great preseason. Simba Wembers has had a great season. Actually, man,
honestly, I think Dante Pettis didn't play today, which seems to say that he's either a lock or they're cutting him like right after the game.
Yeah, and they obviously this regime obviously likes him. He's been here before.
So I think him, and then I think it comes down to DeAndre Carter or Velus Jones for return ability.
Yeah, I think that probably goes to Velus Jones. Then, don't you think?
You think? I would think Carter, but I don't know. He could be either one. Got a sack there. So I don't know. What do you think, Carter? Do you want Velus Jones? I'm just putting this together.
Yeah, I think Velus Jones makes sense there.
I didn't have Velus Jones initially, but you're right. I mean, he can play running back, he can play wide receiver, and he's a return man. And also, they might not say it, but he was also a 3rd round pick a couple of years ago, so kind of got the leg up there.
And there also is that little part of you that's like, dude, sometimes he's got the ball in his hand and he does look nice with it.
But I mean, the other thing is anyone claiming Velus Jones if you cut him?
Yeah.
Why
do you? No one's claiming DeAndre Carter.
Well, DeAndre Carter has been a good punt returner in the NFL.
DeAndre Carter, I think, is he like?
He hasn't been good in the preseason punt returning, but
is he wearing number 30?
Yeah.
That's weird. Why is he doing that? Knock it off.
I know it was fine because he was just returning punts, so I didn't really think anything of it. Then I saw him running routes, and I was like, "What are you doing?
Stop it!" Yeah. Jermaine Burton making plays. It was never a question of if with Jermaine Burton.
Yeah, his tape was so good.
His tape was so good. Okay, so we end up going the big 3, and then we rounded out with Dante, Velus, and Tyler Scott.
Yeah.
It's a good receiver group, man. Honestly, if Velus is your 6th receiver.
There's some tough cuts in there. Colin Johnson's played well.
I know Colin Johnson probably would. If I think if you weren't thinking about if you wanted to build the best receiver room, you probably have Colin Johnson at your 6.
Yeah, that's probably fair. Also, I mean, a guy we didn't really talk about, Simba Webster. He always.
I know Simba Webster's had a great preseason. He scored tonight, I think.
Yeah. Tough cut.
I know it is fully. He's kind of been, he's bouncing around with the Bears, roster spots for a while. But I'm happy with those 6. I think that makes sense.
Okay.
Tackle. How many tackles?
Well, let's just do quarterback first. Let's just get that out of the way. Caleb Williams, Tyson Bagent. Do we think they're keeping 3?
Yeah, I think just because of that extra roster spot that they get to, I think they get to walk around during the week with 54 players and then just dress 53 the day of or whatever it is.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go with that. So then at that point we've gone and Kari Blasingame is the fullback. So at that point we can keep 9 offensive linemen. Last year they kept 10. So we added an extra quarterback because they kept 2, which they could keep 9 offensive linemen.
No, but I mean, I think one of those quarterbacks is considered that extra spot. I think I would still keep us. I wouldn't count him as a roster spot at the moment.
He still counts as towards the 53-man roster.
Well, how does it work then? They just get to dress 54 on game day?
No, he counts as you have your 53-man roster and then you have your 46 active roster on game day. And the third quarterback does not count towards your 46 active players. He'd be your 47th active player, essentially, is how it works.
There's not 53 players active on Sunday?
No, you always have 7 guys inactive. So then your third quarterback would not count towards your active number. And he can come in, if that third quarterback comes into the game, then your first 2 quarterbacks cannot come back into the game.
Really?
Is how it works, yeah. Okay. So I think there is value to keeping that third quarterback, but it does take up a roster spot. So it's interesting because with Brett Rippon, if you cut him, most likely no one's picking them up because your quarterbacks. It's not like other positions where you can kind of go from team to team and you pick up the offense quickly. Like if you spent all offseason studying the Bears playbook, you would almost rather be on the Bears practice squad than go and be like the third quarterback for a different team.
Yeah.
You know? So it's a position where you could. It just kind of depends on the rest of your roster. If you have a guy you don't want to lose, you might opt to keep him and then just have Brett Rypien be on the practice squad, and then you can bring him up in case Bagent or Williams gets injured.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that they might only keep 2. They did. This was the rule last year as well, and they did keep 2.
And did they have that emergency quarterback on Sunday they were using?
They did. I believe the last year was the first year of this rule.
Yeah, I think so too.
So I think they still might keep 2. I think it would be better to keep 10 offensive linemen than it would be because you need that depth there.
I kind of underestimate how small an offensive lineman is when you need 5 of them at any given moment.
Yeah. Although at the same time, your 10th offensive lineman is most likely going to be inactive on game day.
Right. So let's do offensive linemen.
Okay, let's do offensive linemen. So
I think honestly, even now, it wasn't abundantly clear what the starting 5 was going to be until like kind of recently. It's kind of settled itself in. It looks like our starting center is going to be
Shelton.
Yeah,
I have eight locks on the offensive line. I think.
Okay, go for it.
Braxton Jones, Tevin Jenkins, Coleman Shelton, Nate Davis, and Darnell Wright. Those are your 5 starters.
Yep.
Then you got Ryan Bates, Matt Pryor, and Karan Amageji as your 3 backups, and then you got 1 or 2 spots based on that. So interestingly, I've always been a big fan of Ja'Tyre Carter.
Yeah, I think that's got well. He's got depth along a couple of positions too.
Yeah, and I've always liked him, but Bill Murray was started this game, and Ja'Tyre Carter came off the bench in the 4th preseason game. So that's not a good sign for him. I don't understand it, but that's just what is happening. So I don't know. They might be letting go of Carter. Doug Kramer started today with Bates and Shelton out. Jerome Carvin would be maybe, and Larry Borum. I didn't even mention him.
That sucks.
So you probably, Matt Pryor has played majority at guard. Karan Amageji has not played at all because he's been injured. You probably want to keep another tackle here. So probably Larry Borum.
But can you even keep Larry Borum with what just happened?
What just happened?
Did you miss it? Oh, Larry Borum got carted off tonight.
Oh, I did miss that.
Yeah, so I think.
Well, I guess it depends on. Yeah, it depends on how serious it is.
I know, because I kind of in my head was like, there's no way you lose Larry Borum. He's got 20 starts in the NFL already, and if he's a depth piece at your tackle position, I think you need some depth at your tackle, and that's totally fine. But he might just be. IR would probably make sense for him, but I would say that I would say Carter is who I would offer that spot to, and then Carter. I think
so then would you maybe go Jake Curran because I think you need another tackle. Another guy who can play tackle.
Because Carano.
You got Matt Pryor. Matt Pryor has played tackle, but he's played majority at guard in the preseason. He has played a little bit of tackle. Carter's pretty much a guard.
That Larry Borum injury is actually kind of more annoying than we realize because he's an awesome depth piece for that position. It looked like he was playing great when he was playing so far these games, and like I said, he's started and played some games in the NFL.
Yeah, I think it depends on what they think about Kieran Amageji.
I know. I like.
We haven't seen him at all. So I have no idea.
Yeah, exactly. That's really what it is. It's like if he needed to be your backup week 1, could he?
If Braxton Jones gets hurt middle of the game week 1, do you feel comfortable with Kieran Amageji stepping in and being your left tackle?
That could be a position that you have to monitor as a Bears fan as far as like cuts and waivers and such. Some tackle depth probably makes a lot of sense.
Or Matt Pryor. Matt Pryor can play tackle and guard. So he'd probably be your swing tackle if that happened. So I don't know. It's tough. This offensive line is really tough because I think Carter, in terms of talent, is clearly one of the top 10 offensive linemen on the team, but he might just be the odd man out because they need another tackle on there. I don't know. It's really tough. Borum or Jake Curhan, who came over with offensive coordinator Shane Waldron from Seattle. So they must like him. He must like him. He knows the offense well. Could be an option there too.
Yeah, it's interesting. That last spot. Oh man. It's fun watching Reed sling it right now. I hope man, Tyler Scott's playing good. I hope Reed gets a chance somewhere else. He's been fun to watch on Hard Knocks, but there's just no way it's with the Bears if he ever makes it. At least not at the moment.
Yeah, it'd be tough. But yeah, I think that's the practice squad. So I think, okay, if I had to say what the 10 are, the 5 starters, Matt Pryor, Ryan Bates, Kieran Emageji, and I said Bill Murray and Shatire Carter.
Yep. So do you go? Is that 10 or is that 9?
That's 10.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
So, yeah, Pryor being your swing tackle, Kieran being your he'd be
tackle
like your
of the future
in the later in the year. You know, once you feel more comfortable with them.
Yeah.
And then you got a couple interior guys. Ryan Bates is the backup center and guard. So yeah, that's it. I think we went over all the positions, right?
Yeah, and that's we got 53.
That is that's 54 technically if you count.
How many quarterbacks we got?
Well, that's with 3 quarterbacks. Do you think 2 quarterbacks?
Yeah, maybe we just go. I think at this point it's Ripien that leaves.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry, Haas.
Hey, he'll be on the practice squad. He'll be fine.
Sorry, but your dad isn't as cool as T Badges. You get it, right?
Yeah.
You get it. His dad is so funny and quirky.
Yeah, I know. In Arn Hodnarks talking about how hot all their girlfriends are.
The man makes a point.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Talk about something you fuck. Oh, dude. Dude, this is exactly what we just fucking said.
Wait, what happened?
I'm gonna go in the comments and tell you exactly what it is. Oh no, I can't. I gotta. 7 counting Bayless is right. Bayless just counted.
Bayless. Oh, sorry. Yeah. If Bayless is running back 4, you could keep 7. So we had, who did we have? We had Travis Homer as running back 4, and then Bayless was the 6th wide receiver.
Does Travis Homer having 2 really, really ugly drops tonight put him in any a worry in your mind?
I don't. It's not good, but again, like I said, that's your running back 4 is a special team spot. It's not really a running back spot. So
all right, I would ask you to clue into the game here for a second.
Okay. Is it good or bad?
It's very good.
Very good.
Yeah,
is it a Tyler Scott touchdown?
It's even funnier than that. It's literally even funnier than that.
Okay, what do we got? This is great. We ever get to see my live reaction to whatever this is.
I know.
Oh, it's Daniel Jones. Oh man, how do you keep this guy off the roster? He's explosive.
Dude, that's exactly. This is what I meant when I said this. Is exactly what I said. He sometimes touches the ball. You're like, that guy can navigate traffic, man.
The thing about Daniel Jones around the ball is that on those sweeps, he's really good.
Fully,
because he's so fast. If you try and run him between the tackles on any type of run scheme that he has to make reads and stuff, he can't do it.
Dude, the Bears are beating the fucking brakes off of everybody in the preseason.
It's the greatest preseason performance of all time. I'm willing to say.
Seriously.
The 2024 Bears are the greatest preseason team of all time.
Here's the thing. I've never put a whole lot of stock into preseason. But it's hard for me to see this and think there's no way that this Bears team isn't going to show up and be more ready than, the average team in the NFL on any given Sunday right now. Is it possible that they do this, have all this swagger and competitive spirit, and then come out and it's not the case with the starters?
No, I don't think so.
It's not possible. I think this has to be a good omen. You can wish it away as preseason. Oh, it's preseason all you want. But I think that it's hard to ignore the fact that this Bears team has been just giving it to every person for pretty much 16 straight quarters this preseason.
It has been pretty impressive. I do feel like there are teams every year who go 4-0 in the preseason or 3-0 in the preseason, whatever it is, and then suck. Like, didn't the Lions go 4-0 in the preseason and then go 0-16?
Totally.
Like, it happens,
that's
but it's not going to happen.
Like, is it a chance that this actually means nothing? Is it just fun to watch? Oh my God, this Bears team's still grinding, man.
34-7. Well, and we won. What was our? How much did we win by last week?
Oh, like pretty much the exact same score.
It was we won big,
7 or something. And then we won big the week before.
Yeah. And then the first week was the Hall of Fame game, but got cut short, but we were winning that game pretty big. So we won 27-3 last week. We won 33-6 in week 1, and we won 21-17 in the Hall of Fame game.
That's so fun,
right now we are currently on let's do some math here. 94-16 in the last 3 games.
If you have the entire preseason, we've outscored our opponents 54, 81, 115 to 37.
Wait, what number? Oh yeah,
I included the Steelers game too. The last 3 has been, dude. The last 3 games we've outscored our opponents, at least just straight preseason, has been 94-7 to 16.
Right, that's just the last 2 games. That doesn't include the Hall of Fame game, right?
With the Hall of Fame, it's like 115 to like 31 or something. Giving people the absolute pound right now.
Yeah. Chicago Bears are outscoring their opponents 94-16 the last 3 preseason games. That's crazy.
Max Markham 10 minutes ago tweeted out, Velus Jones not standing out enough against these undrafted free agents and CFL players.
You were saying?
Yeah, stick it. Stick it, Max.
Velus Jones read that tweet and was like,
yeah. And now he will try.
Yeah. I mean, I still think, gun to my head, if I was making the roster, I don't think he'd make the roster. But it's certainly possible. Like, we'll see. That's going to be a tough one. That's going to be the one where it's like, are they going to let their kind of like egos get in the way? Because I don't think he deserves to make the team, but I think they'll be like, they'll watch that run and be like, okay, he was our 3rd round pick a few years ago. Like, let's give him one more chance. And I don't think an undrafted free agent or 7th round pick would get that same chance.
Yeah, you're probably right. It might be the 3rd round effect, but I also think that the people that have come, like the people that have been on the Bears roster in the preseason, I actually think he does probably deserve that last spot. I think like especially if you're planning on maybe not going 4 running backs, I think he kind of gives you a little bit of depth there, as well as he probably is your best special teams returner, at least kick returner. He was legitimately one of the best kick returners in the league last year. Punt returning, it seems like that's you're asking too much of his. It seems like it's too many things like that confuses him.
Yeah, kick returner, you just catch it and run straight. You don't really have to think too much. You don't have to think too much. Should I catch this? Should I let it go in my hand?
There's no snap of the ball. Just stand there and catch it.
Yeah, I do think it does with him. It depends on that 4th running back spot. If they decide to just keep the top 3 running backs and maybe keep an extra tight end or keep an extra corner or safety or whatever, then I think it makes a lot of sense to keep Velus on there as the kind of running back / wide receiver / kick returner. But if they have Travis Homer, who provides special teams value, I don't think it makes sense to also keep Velus Jones. Because I don't like the idea of keeping a kick returner who doesn't also return punts. It's kind of like taking one position and turning it into 2. Because if you keep Velus Jones as a kick returner, then you have, I don't know, Dante Pettis returning punts or someone else returning punts. It limits the value of that of Velus Jones' ability, because he doesn't do kick coverage. He just does kick returns. So I don't know. That's tough for me if that's the only thing he's doing on special teams.
I was gonna say now Oh man, we got Drew Tranquil on my screen now. Drew Tranquil's underrated, man. One of the more underrated players in the league, I think.
Yeah.
Josh Blackwell's still out there. It's kind of crazy, honestly.
That's interesting because we did have him as one of the 6 corners. So maybe we're wrong there. Maybe it is gonna be ready.
I'm watching. Yeah, I mean, I'm watching Dan Hardy on my screen too.
That's not good. If you're playing in the fourth quarter right now, you basically kind of count those guys as most likely not making the roster. So
yeah, not easy for sure. But I think that's a good idea. Like I said, there might be one or two outside moves coming in, but that we talked about.
Reddy Stewart's also out there.
Yeah, certainly.
So it might be the situation you're kind of watching both those guys at the same time and see which one stands out.
Yeah. Creed Humphrey got paid today.
Yeah, that's kind of a bummer because I wanted the Bears to sign him next year. But I never really
got paid like $4 million more than the next highest paid center.
Yeah,
he reset the market. That's a full market reset.
Yeah, little Bears implication there. So obviously, Creed Humphrey's not making the free agency, so you can't sign him. But it does probably mean that Trey Smith, their other offensive lineman, probably is not going to be re-signed. So if the Bears are looking for a right guard to replace Nate Davis, there could be maybe potentially your guy.
Nate Davis is chapping my ass, man.
I mean, Nate Davis, there's no way he's on the roster next year. They're gonna.
He's just such an ass chap. What the heck is going on with him?
So,
Nate, why is it always something, man?
It's always something.
Cheaper.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's never like, things were great with Nate the last couple of days.
It's funny because I feel like he got off to a really bad start last year. I thought down the stretch he started playing a little bit better once he kind of got into rhythm. And then I was like, okay, now he's gonna have a full off season. He's gonna be healthy, and hopefully he'll come in week 1, kind of where he left off at the end of last year. And then he had the whole thing this preseason where he's not playing. So it's like, is he gonna have another 4-week ramp up period to start the year, which we can't really afford? Or so I don't know.
Yeah, I suppose it does mean like what Bears can kind of afford if you're still under the impression that this is a rookie quarterback and it's probably not going to be realistic to win the Super Bowl in your first year. But with every week, feels like the rest of the world is starting to grow expectations for this Bears team, which funny enough, they talked about it in that first episode about how like expectations are what can really kill a quarterback in these situations, or at least Nick Saban thought so.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, like we got Nick Wright saying the Bears are going to win the Super Bowl, and we got Colin Cowherd is all of a sudden the biggest Bears fan of all time.
Yeah. It's almost
just like it is annoying. Now everybody else gets to enjoy the Bears.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you didn't watch fucking.
You don't get it.
The last 5 years.
You don't get it.
Like, you didn't watch every single game like we did.
You didn't watch any of it.
You didn't watch Mitch Trubisky and fucking Justin Fields.
When you think back about all the games we ended up losing and the way it panned out, it's like all of it kind of had to play out exactly the way it did for us to get CW.
You didn't irrationally talk yourself into Brian Hoyer being the next great Bears quarterback like we did. Like, come on, you don't get to jump on the bandwagon now.
No, especially now that it actually does feel good. Like even then, it was like when we were kind of good with like Mitch Trubisky, it was like you guys. It's like I still don't even know if I'm like ready to believe yet.
Exactly, it was like you were like outwardly you were like, oh, this team's so good, but in the back of your mind, like this team's gonna fall.
That's only as good as a quarterback. Right now, it's like it's hard for me to contain my optimism because like. Everything I'd want about a football team is like slightly true of this team. There's like it seems like a good plan in place for the way the organization is going. They've given themselves a lot of runway with a lot of really young talent at really important positions. And on top of that, it looks like they're getting better. Like I'm insanely bullish on Jalen Johnson right now. I'm insanely bullish on DJ Moore's contract. I think that's amazing. Like we got Caleb Williams. It's hard to not be optimistic, but it's like, you really should. It's by the same merit. It's like we won 8 games last year. We got a rookie quarterback. We got a non-offensive head coach.
Speaking of Jalen Johnson, because AJ Terrell got paid today. So,
oh my goodness,
Jalen Johnson is the 9th highest paid cornerback in football.
Already.
they just signed him to a contract extension this offseason, and he was arguably the best quarterback in football last year, and he's the 9th highest paid. What a great deal!
It's so good. It's
what
insanely good. I'm interested to see what they get done with Tevin Jenkins if and when that time comes. It's going to be a big season for him.
That'll be
the current state of the Bears, like long-term roster though, with contracts like that, are just so goddamn attractive.
Yeah, I'm going to say Jalen Hutchins is kind of balling out today. I've seen him all around the ball all the time. Is he going to sneak onto the roster? Probably not. I am 100% gonna make a little all 22 cut up of Jalen Hutchins. For sure. Dude. And then he's gonna get cut 2 days later, and it's gonna be a waste of like 3 hours of my life. But I'm gonna do it.
But you know what's gonna happen is he's actually at that point in his career and like at that level of like fame where you make that cut up, he's fucking retweeting the shit out of it, basically saying to the rest of the NFL, guys, look, and he'll be like, CFC Bears, fucking right, thanks, bud.
My favorite thing ever is like sometimes when I make cutouts of like college guys. Is like I make a cut up of like the most obscure college guy ever who has like no chance, but it's just like, oh, I like to say I'm going to do it, and then like no one retweets it, and then I'll get a notification like so and so retweeted your tweet, and it's like clearly his dad or like his mom. It's like it's so funny. I love it.
Good. The Twitter is a hilarious place for that kind of stuff, man. I tweeted a fucking video like a decade ago of Tommy Harris driving a guard into the backfield, and he sacks the running back basically with the guard. And I was like something like, this is like big man strength or whatever. And Tommy Harris comments like this play was amazing. And I was like, what the fuck? Tommy, you know this is you, right?
That was back in the day when like guys were on Twitter, because it was.
I know.
Twitter wasn't like really a thing.
It wasn't dead. It wasn't just dead internet.
Yeah.
This offseason, actually thinking about that is like so many times now when I see I used to see takes from like those anonymous accounts in like Bears Twitter and also just like sports Twitter in general, and I would be like, these fucking idiots, they don't get it, like they're just so stupid or whatever. And now I see them, and I don't know what changed this offseason, but now my snap reaction is, dude, don't get mad. That person's probably 12 years old.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. I guess I always kind of think that I thought that Twitter was older. Did you think young kids are using Twitter as much?
I think it's just TikTok. No, I don't know.
TikTok's crazy. You on TikTok?
No,
me neither. Never got it.
Never got it. I never was. I missed the chance. Like,
not only that, but I also don't. I'm not naive enough to think that I would be better than it. I think it would kidnap my mind.
Yep. I mean, I'm at my age. Like, I have an Instagram, and I watch old TikToks from like 2 weeks ago on my Instagram. Like once they've been on TikTok for 2 weeks, and people forget about them, then they get to Instagram, and that's where I see them.
I have heard people. I've said to people, I'll be like, yeah, I watch Reels sometimes. Like, it's the same, and people that are on both are like, dude, it's not the same. And I'm like, how is it different? They're like,
I was just gonna say, like, I don't understand how it's different. It seems to be the exact same thing. It's just short video clips.
Dude, you can't do that. What? They just horse collared the shit out of Tyler Scott, and they didn't call anything.
I got a commercial right now, so.
Okay, it'd be interesting to see who's coming out here. Come on, Reed. Go put some stuff on tape here that people like.
I'm surprised how Scott's playing still.
I know. Seriously, get him out of there.
Like,
he's good. He's fast. We like him. He's young.
He seems to have a contract.
Why is he out there? Yeah, he's returning kicks.
That seems odd.
I mean, maybe returning kicks.
I guess he's a player like you're playing him like if knock on wood, Tyler Scott got hurt right now, that's not going to derail your season. But I feel like he is going to be a part of the offense. Like
you also would prefer if Tyler Scott wasn't hurt.
Yeah, that too. But it's just like you're not good. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Roma Dunte obviously starting, but you're always rotating in your fourth and fifth wide receivers. Like he's going to get meaningful playing time. Why are you risking anything with him getting injured? Playing with Austin Reed doesn't make any sense.
Did you see that the Bears ran the lowest percentage of 3 wide receiver sets in the preseason?
I did see that. That is interesting. And I mean, when I went to training camp that first day, like they ran pretty much everything from under center with 2 tight ends. I mean, not almost everything, but they ran a lot of that. And from everything else I've seen during training camp and like clips and stuff, they've been under center a lot with 2 tight ends. Like I think, I don't know if they're going to be dead last, and I don't know if they're going to be that big of an outlier, but I think they're going to run a lot of 2 tight end sets.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, we know Waldron in Seattle ran a lot of 2 and 3
totally.
tight end sets. So.
Yeah, they loved it. There was
So maybe like we have them in our prediction of keeping 3 tight ends. Maybe they would keep 4 tight ends. That might be something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Yeah, because to some extent, the stuff that you want your tight ends doing, you're not like. There are certain things that Mercedes Lewis is amazing for. You can basically come in and be another tackle for you blocking. He's probably all right running short route stuff, but like when you want 2 wide receiver or 2 tight end sets, and there's an idea that they're both going to be the passing game, like it could be that you want to go with that a 4th tight end.
Yeah, right. I mean, Mercedes Lewis is essentially a 6th offensive lineman. So, like you said, if you're running 2 tight end sets and you want your tight ends to be a threat in the pass game, you're not. That's when not when Mercedes Lewis is going to give in the game. So yeah, it might make sense to maybe keep Stephen Carlson or Brendan Bates.
And here come the Chiefs. It's so hard for me to know. You see a football and you just yell it.
Yep.
That felt good. That was my first ball of the 2024 season.
Hey, it's preseason brawls. You gotta get that
practice in.
Practice and yelling ball at the TV.
Dude. So pure. That was a pure on like watch the fumble, yell ball. Oh.
Right.
Oh, that's a great rep, honestly, by them. That's not good for Chad. Who's number 26?
Yeah, who's number 26?
Jackson, I think it said.
Oh, John Jackson. That's Caleb's buddy.
Oh, is it? Damn.
Yeah.
Sorry, Caleb.
Who have not really seen anything in preseason, but
yeah, I thought that was kind of corny.
He'll probably be a practice squad guy just because he's Caleb's friend.
That's crazy, isn't it?
The old Antetokounmpo spot.
Yeah. The how much you make for being on a practice squad in the NFL? Make pretty damn good money. I mean, pretty damn good money.
Better money than I.
Yeah, I was gonna say pretty damn good money, meaning you could be a plumber.
Yeah.
What is it like? What do you think? Like 80,000?
No, I bet it's more than that.
NFL practice squad salary. Yeah, here we go. What? Oh my God! Yeah,
that's 500 a week. That's a ton of money.
That's so much fucking money, man. To be a practice squad player.
What is that? What's that annually? So that would be $225,000.
Yeah, I guess I'll take it.
League minimum salary for rookie is $795.
Holy fuck, man!
Yeah,
imagine being Noah Sewell the last couple of years and just collecting fucking $7,000 a week.
I mean, that's
$15,000 a week.
$225,000 a year is the minimum for like a practice squad guy. Like that obviously sounds like amazing money. But think about it this way: like it's $795,000 if you're on the team.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like Noah Sewell making $15,000 a week is just.
But that's ridiculous. a $560,000 pay cut if you don't make it in the roster. Like that's huge.
It is pretty whack. I mean, imagine if you said that to Aaron Rodgers, he would be like pennies.
Right. Yeah.
But that is interesting. Wow, dude. Fuck. Some guys make themselves when you get that conversation about, hey, you know what, you made the team. It's like, yeah, you're playing in the NFL now, but you are also rich.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're also about to make as much as fucking crazy bankers.
I'm gonna teach my future son how to long snap and kick.
Dude,
he's got to get that money.
Totally.
That's his only chance. So,
I should say, I'm like He had a punt last week from inside his own end zone that probably had 5 seconds of hang time, and he kicked it to the other 35, and it was like, that's fucking absurd. If you, for those that don't know, that's absurd.
Like he was on Hard Knocks. He's like, yeah, I was like working construction after like he's like I played rugby. He was working construction, and they were like had this like open tryout, and I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, man. He's like, yeah. My only offer was from Iowa. It's like,
imagine
does he not realize how crazy that is?
Yeah, you're spending your entire life in Australia, and then being like, I'm gonna move to Iowa for 4 years. Like just
and being like, yeah, I just decided to kick. So then I just went and started kicking for one of the D1 best college programs in the nation. Just for fun.
Yeah. And now he's making millions of dollars
on HBO television shows. Yeah. What a life. But it was cool to hear him talk about punting, kind of like golfing. In that, like, you
different shots and stuff.
And well, that was what I think some people said of him, that he had like different clubs in his bag, but he was talking about it kind of like the notion of, despite the fact that you can always feel like you're getting better at golf, it is like kind of like cliffs and valleys and going up and down. And he said like there are times when it's like it's just all clicking in punting, and he's like, you just can't miss, and it's like that's kind of crazy to think about. So it's like I just got hot punting that day, because from my point of view, it's like, just go out and kick the ball, right? You can kick it every time the same time, but it's like that little bit of like, when you're on, you're on. And I want my punter to be fucking sick. I feel like we've had mediocre punting for years.
I know.
What was the last great punter the Bears had? We had Adam O'Donnell, who was all right for forever.
Brad Maynard
Probably. Brad Maynard was good. Him and Robbie Gould were two studs, honestly. Maynard didn't kick it very far, but he would place it on a dime. Oh my God, the Bears, are they coming back on the Bears right now?
I ever since I tweeted that the score differential there.
I think that's anyway.
But yeah, I think Brad. I don't know. I'm trying to think of who the punters after Brad Maynard. There's obviously people in between Maynard and. No, I just can't think of them. But yeah, be nice to not worry about that. Pat O'Donnell, yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I'm looking this up. Bears starting punters. There's gonna be some names in here. We're gonna go. Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I don't even. Are you gonna even be able to find like an article about the starting punter for the Bears? Like, yep. Just look at like who looks.
Here we go. Yearly leaders. Here we go. Okay. Adam Podlish.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Adam Podlish was the only one in between Maynard and Pat O'Donnell. Adam Podlish for 3 years. Brad Maynard for.
It was only 3 years. I feel like there was a huge gap in between those guys.
No, so Brad Maynard all the way until 2010, and then 3 years of Adam Podlish, and then 8 years of Pat O'Donnell. I would have thought it was and then we had 2 years of Trenton Gill, and now we're about to get.
O'Donnell was our punter for 2 years.
Pat O'Donnell was indeed our punter for 8 years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You know what's crazy about that, Steve?
All run together.
Not only was he a punter for 8 years, but for those 8 years, he was probably making $400,000 a week. Or no, $40,000 a week. $40,000 a week. Just to be Pat O'Donnell.
All right, I guess the Bears have a better punting history than I remember.
Yeah, that's actually true.
Adam Podlish.
We only really had a couple of years of our pot. We've had very little Trenton Gills and Adam Podlishes in our life, and we've had a fair bit of Brad Maynard and Pat O'Donnell.
Yeah. I just Googled to find the punters. I just Googled like 2013 Chicago Bears roster, and I'm getting some flashbacks looking all through this list.
Like 2013. That was a good team, man. That was a team that had that crazy
John
defense.
Bostic.
John
Bostic. Kasim Green.
What's funny is we were making fun of him, but Trenton Gill has the 2 of the 3 highest average punting seasons in Bears history. All right, that's midnight for me. I think that's a good place for me to call it. This game's basically over. I get you frozen on my screen. All right, well, if you can hear me, good stuff. Last one in the books now. Only the next time we're playing football, man, it's gonna mean something. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? I cut out for like a while there, but
yeah, I noticed you did, but I was just saying I'm taking off 12:15 my time now, so
Yep.
I think this is a good time for us. I think we got through the roster. Like I said,
For
the
sure.
preseason's kind of in the books now. It's
Yep.
it's a pretty straight shot now to what the team's going to look like in 2 weeks here, man. We're playing Tennessee in Chicago.
Yep, I think
cut down any games this year. You got any games lined up to go to this year?
I am not currently going to any games, but I might. Got back there. I might go to a Lions game because my father-in-law is a Lions fan, so we might go to a Lions game. Also, I have one of my aunts has a friend who has season tickets, and she said that he might sell me a ticket.
You might be able to get some stuff this year. That'd be nice, man.
We'll see.
Caleb Williams' rookie season would be a nice thing, a nice feather in your cap.
Yeah, that would be fun. But yeah, we got cut down is next Tuesday is the cut down day.
So like 4 days.
Yeah, so 4 days.
Dang, man.
I'm sure
oh, that's right. And it's not periodic anymore. Yeah, it's the bloodbath day now.
Bloodbath. So I'm sure we'll hear some
stuff kind before.
After this game, the next couple days, easy cuts that they'll make, and then we'll get a whole bunch on Tuesday. So,
all right, fans.
So yeah, follow us on Twitter and do all that stuff. Follow. Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll be back next week, probably on Tuesday. I'm guessing just after the cut down. Yeah. We'll kind of go through it all. So thanks everyone, and we'll talk to you next week. Bear down.